My 30M partner, 36F, made a bizarre rant about large penises while she was on Ambien. Not even sure where to begin. I have been with my partner for 3 years and nothing like this has ever happened. My partner takes 10 milligrams of Ambien every night, but sometimes she'll take 2 pills if she can't fall asleep. She has had really bad insomnia her whole life. When she takes more than 1 pill, sometimes she'll get up and do stuff like cook or watch TV in a half-dream state. I've tried to bring her back to bed, but she gets violently angry if I try to make her do anything while on Ambien. 2 nights ago, she took some Ambiens and got up and started cooking. She came back to bed with an egg sandwich and began to eat it. She asked me if I wanted any and I said no. She then proceeded to go into a 10-minute rant about all the large penises she had before. She was a cocktail waitress at a very popular club in Miami, and has many pictures with famous athletes when she was in her early 20s. She kept talking about large penises while eating, and it was strange because she was very calm the entire time, like she was reading an encyclopedia entry or something. She talked about what they felt like, and how they stretched her out to the point where she wasn't sure if she'd ever be normal again, and how one time she was double penetrated by the largest penises she had ever seen, and so on. I tried not to listen, but she kept going and going about the penises. It was very strange though, because she didn't talk in an excited manner at all, really just like she was reading a document or something. She kept saying, "Oh, you don't know what a huge penis feels like." I didn't bring it up the next morning, but I have to admit that this conversation really disturbed me. I had no idea she had this kind of past, and I don't want to judge her for her past because that doesn't matter in the here and now, but still I feel a little upset for some reason. I'm finding it really hard to cope with this. Can someone tell me what she meant by this? What would possess her to say these things? Was she just making it up because of her sleeping medication? Edit. Thank you all for the input. I followed your advice and broke up with her. Past does matter, and I cannot get her words out of my head. Hypnotic sleep aids, particularly Ambien, are known for their bizarre side effects including sleepwalking, sleep cooking and eating, sleep driving, amnesia, hallucinations, decreased awareness and memory issues. Ask her about her past when she is fully awake and aware of herself. See if she is open to a different class of sleep aids. Source: I'm a psychiatric prescriber. My father was given Ambien in the hospital and he started seeing giant spiders crawling on the walls. It's a terrible drug and can cause all kinds of problems, as you can see in these comments. I once took Ambien and told my then husband that he was the Badger King and therefore didn't love me. He is neither a badger nor a king. She was zonked and it's very likely nothing she was saying was real. I sleep ate on Ambien once and it terrified me. My mom does it all the time. I've switched to Lunesta because it doesn't make me sleep anything except actually sleep. She should ask her doctor for alternatives if she's experiencing side effects. He is neither a badger nor a king. I'm slightly disappointed. My partner also takes Ambien every single night. He doesn't get up and do anything, but we have wild conversations that he doesn't even remember. One morning he was having a dream and rolled over and said, "You'll get nothing when I die." I told him we have nothing and to go back to bed, so he did. In the morning he had no memory of it. She probably meant nothing by this. She could have just read something even. Better to just forget it, or mention that it happened casually if you need to address it. I told him we have nothing and to go back to bed. This cracked me up, thank you. If it makes you feel at ease at all, when I was on Ambien I woke my partner up and very sincerely confessed to a long string of murders, describing them in graphic and gory detail to my poor horrified partner. He then had to physically restrain me from phoning the police and confessing to these murders. I have of course never actually murdered a person. I was describing the murders from a documentary I watched years earlier which for some reason my brain landed on. Is it possible she's talking about her own past? Yes. Quite. She might also be talking about a porno she saw at some point, or a mixture of reality and fantasy, or some erotic novel she read when she was 16. Ambien is weird. I would honestly just talk to her, gently, explain what she said and say it made you feel a bit uncomfortable. It'll be an awkward conversation, but if you love each other it'll hopefully be one that will help put you at ease a bit. I have of course never actually murdered a person. Well, yeah, what else are you going to say? My 32F mom, 53F, was an accessory to my child abuse and pretends like it never happened. She has kept this from my stepdad and he thinks she's a saint. This is going to be a long story. It's taken me a long time to decide to type this out, but I have to because it's been keeping me up at night for months. To try and condense it, my mom had kids young. 3 of us with 3 different men. No shame in multiple fathers, it's just relevant to the story. Her mother, my grandmother, was insanely abusive. My mom and her brothers all had their bones broken by this woman before age 10, she was just that evil of a person. Throughout my mom's pregnancies she did meth and drank a lot. Luckily my older sister and I were born healthy, but my younger sister was born 2 months early. Throughout our childhood we dealt with homelessness, hunger, neglect, you name it. Drugs were always more important than us, and so was whatever guy she was into that week. I remember for a while, we were living with my youngest sister's father. My mom was pregnant with her at the time, and we never had food, clean clothes, or even a hairbrush or toothpaste. My big sister tried her best to take care of me, teaching me to turn my underwear inside out because it was the only pair I had, brushing my teeth with baking soda, and hiding me in closets so I couldn't see my stepfather beating my pregnant mother in the stomach when he went psycho. We were poor and suffered, but my mom never went without. She had food, new clothes, makeup, and her hair was always done. Our stepfather never let us have his food and would hide it from us, and my mom allowed this to happen. She also went along with his requirements that we kids eat, when we did eat, on the kitchen floor by the back door like dogs because we weren't allowed to sit at the table with them. I remember wetting the bed often from emotional distress and my mom making me sleep in a bug-infested shed in the backyard alone as punishment. Ugh. My heart is racing just typing this out. Because of all this, she lost custody of us, and since our biological fathers were all garbage, my evil grandmother got custody of us. That's a whole different abuse story in itself. This lady made Mommy Dearest look like a comedy. Needless to say, my mom was mostly absent from our lives after that. We'd see her when she came to visit every now and then poof, she'd be gone again for months on a bender. She broke our hearts over and over again, disappearing and leaving us to be beaten and psychologically abused by our grandmother. We eventually got back in contact as adults, and although my sister and I kept her at a distance, our relationship patched itself up. But the thing is, she never acknowledged the abuse that she let happen, and acted as if our stories weren't true. She's always made it all about herself and the abuse she endured at the hands of her ex. This always left us furious and feeling totally invalidated. Present day, I'm now 6 months pregnant, for the first time, and a former addict. Being a former addict, I could sympathize with her situation and her being a shitty person, but now that I'm going to be a mother myself, my perspective has changed completely. My baby isn't even born yet and there's already nothing I wouldn't do to keep her safe and healthy. I resent my mother more each day for doing drugs while pregnant and setting us up to be abused without speaking a single fucking word. It makes it hurt even worse that she can't even admit to this very day that our shitty childhoods were 100% her fault. So about my current stepdad, he's such a kind and wonderful man. My mom doesn't even kind of deserve him. They were married about 20 years ago when she was out of our lives, giving her plenty of time to fill his head with stories of her being the most wonderful mother and having her children stolen from her by my grandmother. He believes every story she's ever made up because, well, why shouldn't he? My mom has numerous health problems now, such as severe Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, rheumatoid arthritis, and more. She's sick all the time and might have cancer as well. The future really isn't looking long for her. My problem is, I'm dying to tell my stepdad everything. It makes me sick that I'm essentially faking a great childhood to keep my mom's lies in place. It isn't fair and I want him to know about it. Is it crazy that I want him to know before she dies so that she can finally be seen for who she is? I don't want to ruin what my stepdad thinks is a great marriage because I love him so dearly and it would break his heart, but mine is broken too and has been since I was a kid. I just can't see why you let this woman back into your life in the first place. Why? She's not even your mom, she doesn't deserve that title. She may have given birth to you, but she's not your mother. Section. So first up, armchair diagnosis. She's a narcissist and therefore literally incapable of seeing herself as anything other as the hero and victim. The wiring of her brain makes her literally unable to realize / accept / hear she ever did wrong, let alone admit it or apologize. This poem may remind you of her. A narcissist's prayer: that didn't happen. And if it did, it wasn't that bad. And if it was, that's not a big deal. And if it is, that's not my fault. And if it was, I didn't mean it. And if I did, you deserved it. The other thing about them is that they can often turn on the charm. My stepmother was not as bad as your mother, but was still extremely abusive. Horrible. Yet my father thought the sun shined out of her ass, and no force on earth would have made him believe me. When I said what she did, I got beaten and taken out of school and disinherited, and so on. Long story short, sure, tell him if you want, but you need to be prepared for him to think it is you that is the problem, that you imagined it, that you are evil and insane. She will be absolutely genius at explaining away every sordid detail, even if you have documentary proof. My stepmother, for example, she won awards for community service. Wow. Yeah, this is my mom for sure. And I feel dumb for never considering that he wouldn't believe me, because it's a total possibility, especially considering the fact that my mom can be very charming and convincing like you said. This is going to be hard to hear, but there is nothing you can do now that will make your mother see herself for what she really is and express true understanding and remorse to you. The fact you want her husband to know her for who she is, deep down this is because you want to affect her. You want what you never got as a child, and part of you thinks if you can just get her to acknowledge that, it will feel better. I think even if you tell him, you most likely won't get the satisfaction you're imagining. That woman will never be able to give you what you want from her and may even color how her husband sees you. You may end up frustrated yet again, and feel like he is denying your experiences too. The two things you will likely benefit from are: 1, therapy about how to heal from the past, and 2, writing a memoir so that your truth can be heard and you can feel seen. I'm so sorry you went through all that. Holy moly, you are an amazing person for being here still. I have no advice to give you. I couldn't ever imagine being in such a position. You seem like you're gonna be, and already are, an awesome mom. Good luck, mate. Thank you so much for saying that. I feel very lucky to be where I am today, living a normal life and being so happy. Write it all out in a letter, in the form of: now that I will have my own child to protect, I can't risk my mother being around her for these reasons, _ and then close it out with you thinking he's a wonderful person and maybe someday when your mother is out of his life, he can meet your child if he wants to, and give it to him in a way she can't intercept. Then see what happens. Block your mom from contacting you so when she loses her shit and tries to blame you she won't be able to. I think the letter idea is great advice. And yeah, there's no way she'll ever be around my baby alone. She's already planned out all these babysitting scenarios that my husband and I will never let happen. My girlfriend can't handle other women. I've, M20, been dating my girlfriend, F21, for roughly 6 years now. We've both had our fair share of issues that we've worked through or need to work through. One thing I'm noticing more and more is that she becomes anxious and worried when she sees a girl or hears a girl's voice. I asked her yesterday and she confirmed that even hearing a girl's voice makes her agitated. Today, while waiting for the Super Bowl, we were looking through an art book for a game we both obscenely love. We've bought 4 copies, and a collector's edition. We encountered an image of the female protagonist and I guess it was revealing enough to set her off, and she started trying to page through the book really fast to be done with it, but when I asked her to slow down she just thrust the book at me and went to playing her Switch. Is there any way I can help her or anything? I'm not sure what to do.